You're 56 years old, you got $450,000 in savings. When can you retire? So I actually just recently met with a person with this exact scenario. So I just want to kind of share the thought process behind this question, and hopefully it'll help you guys if you find yourself in a similar situation. So this individual, he worked for the state for about 5 years or so, left for a bit, then came back. Now he's working at the university level. He's got 8 years of service credits in the system. He's on plan 3, and he's done a very good job of saving throughout his retirement. So when he comes to us and says, hey, when can I retire? The first thing we always want to do is look at, what are our expenses? What do we need in order to retire on? So rather than looking at how much I need to have saved, how much do you actually need to survive on? What's your lifestyle like? That's usually where we're going to start with most people. In this person's case, he spends about $3,500 per month. Now, anytime someone gives me their number of what they spend, I always have to add taxes on top of it. Everyone thinks in take-home pay. This is what I take home, this is what I spend. However, in retirement, you get paid in pre-tax dollars because your pension hasn't been taxed yet, Social Security hasn't been taxed yet, and if you have a Plan 3 member, all the money inside of Plan 3 hasn't been taxed yet. If you have money in DCP or 403B that's not a Roth, that money still has to be taxed. So for most people, any way they turn retirement, taxes have to be accounted for. So the first thing I do is always add taxes on. But before I do that, the other thing that most people forget about is healthcare. While you're working, you may pay little to no money for your own healthcare depending on who your employer is. When you retire, you have to start paying for your own healthcare. Medicare is there to cover some expenses, and that is lumped into your Social Security check. However, anything above and beyond that is 100% your responsibility. So most employees often opt into the PEB retiree healthcare coverage. So it's very similar to what state employees were used to coverage-wise when they were working. PEB just gives you retirees the option to continue on to a similar plan. They just have to pay for it out of their own pocket. For a cost standpoint, it depends on if you're under 65 or over 65. So in this individual's case, if we're planning on working until 65 and he's single, current rates 7 on the more of the top tier plans, he's looking at $750 to $800 per month. So let's go with $800 per month. So if he says, hey, I have $3,500 per month, that's what I need, I'll add $800 to it. Now we're at $4,300. Assume 20% average taxes. It's going to be less than that, but I always like to just add a cushion to it just in case, because we don't know what tax they're ever going to do. So in this person's case, he needs $5,300 per month. So as soon as we can do the math and say, hey, when can I get $5,300 per month coming in? That's going to net him out $3,500 for spending power to cover his current lifestyle needs. Next thing I'm going to look at is, what kind of guaranteed income sources do we have? So Washington, we all pay Social Security. So in this person's case, at age 65, he's expected to receive roughly $2,500 per month from Social Security. So if I have $5,300 is what I need, I take off $2,500. That bumps me down to about $2,800 left that I need to make up for. Next source for guaranteed income for Washington State employees is the pension. So in this individual case, he only has 8 years of service in the system. He's 56. So even if he goes to age 65, at most he's going to have about 17 years in. So 17 years in Plan 3 is equivalent to 17% of his top 5 wages. Now currently he's only doing about $65,000 per year. So if I wanted to play devil's advocate and just said, hey, we're never going to make a penny more than this, and we just assume $65,000, he would get about $7,700 per year, roughly $650 a month, something like that. Because he's single, he doesn't have to worry about scholarship options or taking type of reduction. So if he needs $2,900 more per month to make this all work out, and he's got about $650 coming in off of this Plan 3 pension, now he's down to only needing about $2,150 per month. So we've got our Social Security accounted for, we got our pension accounted for. Now anything above and beyond that is 100% his responsibility, and that's where all of the retirement savings will come into play. So then we have to look into what does he have saved. So in this individual case, across all of his accounts, he had about $450,000. So he had about $90,000 in Plan 3, another $200,000 in the 403. He's been putting $10,000 a year into. He's also got some Roth and IRA money. So adds up about $450,000. So a lot of people, I find, chase big numbers because they figure more is better. And usually that's the case, right? The more money we have saved, the more income we can produce. But a lot of people don't stop and do the math of how much do I really need to have saved before I can pull the trigger. I've seen clients that say, hey, I need $500,000, $600,000 for some reason or another, and they continue to work to chase that number. And what ends up happening is eventually they'll hit it, and then they retire, and then turn around and be like, hey, I never really needed this much money to begin with. And they haven't even spent a penny of it, and it's been 2 or 3 years since they retired. So all that happened there was they put off retirement for a few years, just chase this arbitrary number they thought they needed, and turns out they never needed it. So they almost, in a way, wasted some earlier years retirement for something they never really needed. So it's important to have a savings goal in mind. Not everybody needs $500,000 or $1 million. I've helped clients that had as few as $200,000 or $300,000 saved, and they were able to still retire early and enjoy really great retirements. So we don't need these arbitrary large numbers. And a lot of that is thanks because you have guaranteed income sources from pensions and Social Security, that you don't need to rely on assets as much as other individuals out there that don't have these type of guaranteed income sources. In this individual case, because he hasn't worked all that long for Washington State, his pension isn't as big as many other individuals we've helped in the past. But still, anything you receive for guaranteed income is something that should never be overlooked or discounted. I sometimes hear people say, oh, they're only giving me $5,000 a year, $7,000 per year for all that work. And it's something you should really be grateful for. Not many jobs still have a type of pension that they continue to pay out. So a little goes a long way in retirement, especially because it's guaranteed lasts for life and you have cost of living adjustments. So don't ever overlook even a small pension that you may have received from a job in the past. All right, so now back to our puzzle here. We still need $21.50 per month to make it work out for him. He's got $450,000. How much can that produce for us? It all depends on what your distribution strategy is. So if you had $450,000 saved up, you guys have all heard the rule of 4%. So I put 4% of what I have saved. That's how much interest I'm going to take. 4% of 450 is about $18,000, per year, or $1,500 per month. So if you were to use that 4% rule, he's still short by about $600 per month. So he needs to be saving a little bit more to make all this work out. Now, if you use a higher distribution, let's say you upped it to 5%, that would put him at about $1,800 per month. So a little bit closer to that goal. Now, remember, if we're going to take more money out, we need to have a much more solid plan on how we can make sure this income is going to come out and go uninterrupted. Now, if you don't want to deal with the market and interest rates or anything like that, you can always just guarantee it all. You can turn your life savings into a guaranteed income for life, just like Social Security and your pensions already do. They call this thing an annuity, and yes, your pension and Social Securities are forms of annuities. They just change the name of them. But you can go ahead and do that with your own savings. Washington State has a couple of really good options. There's the TAP annuity, or there's also the TERS or PERS annuity that you can put money into. Now, the benefits with the annuity is they pay higher. So their interest rates will change depending, on how old you are and what current interest rates are. But let's say under today's circumstances, it would give them about 6%. So that's 6% guaranteed distribution for the rest of his life. So what does 6% actually mean? So if I took the same $450,000 he had, and if you put all in there, not something you want to do, but just to show you the numbers, and you multiply it by 6%, 6% of $450,000 is $27,000. That would be the annual income it would produce. Now you divide it by 12, it would give him $22.50. So if he didn't save another dime and it didn't grow at all from this point forward, he put it all in cash, put it on his mattress, and then did a darn thing and waited till 65 and was able to find some type of guaranteed annuity that paid him 6%, it would give him $22.50, which would be enough to make up the rest of his income need for retirement. So it could work. So can I retire at 65 in this case? It would look like he probably could. Now, could he retire earlier? That's usually the question that follows up from that. In this case, it would be a little bit harder to make it work out. Just because we don't have 30 years in the system, we wouldn't have the pension there. Pension's not very large, but if we needed to tap into Social Security early, it would, kind of dip into our monthly income permanently. So, if the question would be, when can I retire? How early can I retire? That would take a little bit, more math to figure out when that would be. So retiring early would be a bit harder for him just because without getting 30 years in, you can't really collect the pension before 65 without a penalty. You'd also have increased medical costs. You'd be about double. So it'd be a little bit harder. However, the one thing I just realized as I was recording this is even though I said it was $800 per month, that's actually the price for a couple in retiree coverage. So it'd be about half of that. So it'd be probably closer to $400 per month, which means his need is about $4,800 or so. So with that reduced healthcare costs, it brings down the need a little bit more. It would be a little bit easier for him to retire, but still the early retirement may be a bit trickier to do. I wouldn't say it's impossible. It would definitely do some digging into. And if this individual decided to hire us for that full-term analysis, we definitely dive into it. But just on the 1-hour consult, we said it was plausible, but 65 is going to be the safest bet overall for him. Now, if you found this information helpful, you want to see more videos like this one where we dive into actual case studies, or you have questions of your own, the link to schedule a meeting with us is in the description below. I'm also building a new private community just for Washington State employees. We're able to dive deeper into actual case studies, review other carriers' products, answer questions in much more detail. Just things that we really aren't supposed to be doing in the public eye here on YouTube, but it's something that we can do in a private setting. If you want to get more in depth and get actual insight from what a private community has to offer, which again is something that no licensed advisor is really able to do in a public space, we're currently building that out. If you're interested in joining, the link to do that will be in the description below. I hope to see you guys there. And until next time, remember that your future depends what you do today.